Hello and welcome to the United Stand. It's Sunday night. I'm joined by Flex and Sophie as per usual. Big show, and we're going to start off as what I would call Mission Impossible. You know, I just think Jose Mourinho, obviously I back him. I know I'm going to get booed in the live comments straight away, and that's your prerogative, but I just feel sorry for him. I mean, this latest thing is just bloody ridiculous, but a lot of people might not be aware of it. We've heard of the Guard of Honour at Manchester City when we play them next month, but what we haven't realised is that it's worse than that. We're on a crash course for them to actually be crowned champions that day. Manchester City need 12 more points, 4 more wins, and that's only because they just need to get to 90 points, because United have got 10 games left. They can get to 89 points. However, that's assuming we beat Palace tomorrow night, we beat Liverpool on Saturday. If we lose any of those games or even draw, that pulls it more in for Man City. If they win their next two, and they beat us at Man City or even get a draw, they could be actually crowned champions that very day. Which for me is probably worse than the Aguero winner. No, it's not quite as bad as that, but it's a horrible situation. I'll go to you first with that, Sophie. I mean, you may not be aware of it, but how does that, you know, I just feel that we're going to talk about progress and obviously the ramifications of Chelsea, Arsenal, Martial maybe not part of the squad for tomorrow, so lots of big topics. But if that situation happens at the start of April, that Man City beat or draw it with us, and that's the day that they are officially champions, it doesn't do any good, does it? It doesn't make people feel great. How does that make you feel? I mean, especially in relation to Jose. I mean, is he going to deserve the flack that no doubt the press and some fans will throw at him?
It's just rubbing salt into the wounds, isn't it, realistically? I mean, we know that City are going to win the league. If it happens then I don't know, to be honest, let's pray that does not happen. Mourinho will get stick no matter what. We know that will happen, but as a United fan, I just really pray that we don't see that, because, like I say, we know that they're going to win the league, but to win it on that day, that would just really rub salt into the wounds, and I'm just hoping that it doesn't go ahead. I don't know how I'd react, to be honest. I'd just probably go into hiding for a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few people in the live comments. We need to beat them, says Sophie, and that will stop the situation. Yep, going to the Etihad or the Etihad and doing that might be a little bit difficult, considering I don't think anybody's done it this season. And Sally Red Devil says she'd be gutted. I mean, Flex, it does sort of fall into that mission. You know, I think the title of the video is Mission Impossible, because no matter what Mourinho does this season, I mean, I think we are going to be in that nightmare situation, because do you really think we'll beat Palace tomorrow and then Liverpool on Saturday, and then, you know, hopefully that will put us in a situation. I mean, I think ideally we all just want them not to be crowned champions on the day we're playing at Man City, but you know, these things tend to work against us, and that would be quite, you know, it could work both ways. I mean, it will be humiliating, but it could be inspiring for next summer and next season.
Yeah, it's such a just something we just didn't want to happen. Like, you know, they're already miles ahead of us this year in terms of being our biggest rivals now. Anyway, now that they've been so good, the last thing we needed is to have to go there and either give them a Guard of Honour or they get crowned champions on the day. Oh man. I don't want that to happen one bit, if I'm honest. I do. There is that kind of point to it of maybe give the players a kick up the arse to think, I'm never having this, being part of this again. I don't ever want to have to do this again, and give Mourinho the spark that he'll be good at hiding it and shaking Pep's hand, but it will burn him. It will burn him. Mourinho is a winner, and he will not want to be, having to clap someone like Pep Guardiola and Man City all the way to literally picking up the Premier League trophy in front of our faces. But the rules are the rules. If it happens, it happens. You know, it's even more. It's harder to take that it's them. But if it happens, it happens, and it just shows that we've got to just put it in next season. It should be the catalyst to, to really hit the summer run and get the targets we want in and build, because that will be the ultimate L. And that is a big L. Doing that, going to the Etihad, losing the game, and then them parading the Premier League trophy in front of us. It's not us, but I know what you're saying about the Aguero thing. It isn't worse than that, because that day we could have won the title, but it's not far off.
I mean, just doing some quick maths here. Man City have got 78 points. We've got 59, so we'd to, you know, effectively we'd have to win every game just to get to 89 to make them have to get 12. But if they win their next 2 games, that takes them up to 84. Even if we won our 2 games before then, if they beat us, they still win the title. So the reality is we've got to beat Palace, Liverpool and not lose to Man City to not be in that situation at the end of the game where City are running around celebrating the title, which
just the bus in that game. You got Chelsea done today. I would have 1,000 buses parked and get a 0-0 so that they do not win the title on us. 100%. 100%. I'll park 1,000,000 buses for that.
I think we'd have to do that, wouldn't we, Sophie? I mean, you were saying that you'd obviously had your training today and then you all went and watched Man City, Chelsea. We've watched lots of Manchester United and Manchester United fans. They are not capable of going to Man City with an attacking game plan and beating a team like that. I think the only way to go there would be to park the bus, and I think many people would predict that's what Mourinho would do, but I don't think we've got the team to go toe-to-toe with them at the moment anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look at Conte's performance today against City. If that was Mourinho, then everybody would be kicking off, and he parked 1,000,000 buses. The most boring game I think I've ever seen. And like Flex said, in order for us to avoid that situation, then I would happily see us park the bus because I just don't want that to happen. But at the same time, I would also love us to beat City and kind of give them a bit of a heads up and say, you know what, expect more of this next season. As a United player, if I was putting on a shirt, I know I would want to go out and beat them and not give them an easy ride as well. So yeah, either way, I just don't want that situation to happen.
It is. It is stunning. I mean, I hadn't realised it myself until 2 hours ago. I'd heard about this Guard of Honour, but I didn't realise that they can actually win the title that day. And I do feel sorry for Mourinho because I think the progress is there. I saw a lot of things today, again, on social media saying, ha, look at you. You know, we put a tweet out of the United Stand account saying, with Chelsea losing today, if we beat Palace tomorrow, we're 9 points clear of 5th place. That is progress from 6th. You know, that's Champions League qualification more or less done and dusted, and is definite progress from 6th last year. But Flex, you've got people then obviously coming back at you with, oh, look, it's such a big club, you're settling for 2nd place. And then you've got United fans replying, going, yeah, bloody negative stand, we want better than that. And I just think, you know, I want United to be winning the titles. I would hate that Man City situation, but just because we've got Jose Mourinho and he spent a bit of money, it seems like we've almost wiped the last 4 years and forgotten that we were, you know, not even qualifying for the Champions League, and we're embarrassing. And now, just because we're going to finish 2nd, it's disaster. And I think we need to. I think again, this is progress under Mourinho. And I know the football's not great, but it's definitely progress. And Champions League qualification is another big tick, and we're very close to that if we beat Palace tomorrow night.
Yeah, you know what it is? You got to find a balance. You got to find a balance because you don't want to end up finding yourself in a position where we change the emphasis on what we define as success. You know, ultimately, success for Man United is challenging for honours and obviously winning honours. That's, you know, that's the club. That's the DNA of the club. We're the most successful club of the Premier League era. So I understand why some fans are kind of like, you know, well, don't get too excited. We don't want to be like Arsenal and celebrate finishing 4th or finishing in the top 4, shall I say. You don't want to be celebrating finishing 2nd, especially when it's to your biggest rivals. I do get that. But you do have to look at the positives. You know, like I said last season, and a lot of times where we had to reevaluate our objectives. Everyone starts the season with objectives. And when some of those objectives go out the window, you need new ones. Last season, it was trying to fight for the title. It quickly went wrong. Then we were fighting for the Europa League. That's what we had to do. This season, it was in December, trying to cut that gap with Man City to 5 points at the time because it was 8 points. Then it ended up going to 11. We had to reevaluate what we were trying to do. Now we're in the FA Cup, hopefully going to be in the semi-final for beat Brighton, and, you know, looking to push on in the Champions League. So it's just about reevaluating the objectives. And for us, the objective is to finish 2nd. It's not the objective we wanted, but it's the objective that's found us because of our own performances. That's the best we can do. If we were struggling in 4th and we had a chance to finish 3rd, the objective would be to finish 3rd. It's always to finish as high as you possibly can. So we know we can't win the league, so we have to go for 2nd and win the FA Cup. You know, see how far we can go in Champions League. So I'm not getting caught up in being, whoa, wow, I can't believe we finished 2nd. But it is progress, and, you know, you should celebrate progress where you can. but not to over celebrate it. Finish second, right? Cool. Have a little rest. Go again hard in the summer, because for a club like us, we want to be first. We want to be number one.
Yes, definitely. And in relation to that, I mean, the Chelsea, I would say, I personally feel, Sophie, that beating Chelsea last week more or less did for them. And obviously losing to Man City today was a weird one, because actually from a United point of view, and I'm sure Spurs and Liverpool fans felt the same, it more or less gives you a massive foot into Champions League football, and that is definitely progress. I mean, talking about second place there, as Flex was, I said yesterday on one of the videos that, you know, we can't deny the fact that Liverpool and Spurs are playing fantastic football at the moment, and they just look relentless, whereas we've fallen into that sort of, we did it last year actually between Christmas and May, where we're grinding out results. Are you confident we can cling on to second place, considering Liverpool and Spurs are playing fantastic football? I don't like to say that about Liverpool, but they are. And we're grinding out results. I mean, effectively, we could grind out 1-0 to the end of the season and just stay second place. But Mourinho said on Friday there's not much of a difference between second and fourth. Can you see us hanging on to second place? Do you think that's Mourinho sort of, you know, saying we'd like second, but actually if we don't get it, it's not the end of the world?
Of course we'd like second. We want to finish as high up in the table as we possibly can. And next season, hopefully, that'll be first. But this season, I think second is the highest that we can achieve. And why not try and aim for second? What Mourinho is saying there, that in the context of him, realistically, Champions League is what we want this season, isn't it? So whether we finish second or fourth, we'll still get that target. But as a United fan, and I'm sure deep inside he'll be thinking the same, that we want to finish as high up as we can this season. And for me, we will. I think we'll still keep second place. I can't see us letting that slip, to be honest with you. I know Liverpool are playing well and Spurs, but we grind out results, and at the end of the day, I know we've got tough games coming up. But I am feeling confident. I do think that, yeah, the style of play is not the best, but in the big games, Mourinho, fingers crossed, does know how to play. And I'm hoping that Pogba and players like that are going to hit form again now, and that we're going to push on, hoping for a big push at the end of the season, especially with Champions League as well coming up. So yeah, I think we'll keep second.
Broski R has made a contribution. He says, if we win the FA Cup and go further in the Champions League than City, would you consider it being a better season than City? No. I mean, you know, City are going to win the Premier League, mate. There's no way we come out of this unless we win the Champions League. That's the only way we could have a better season than City. I mean, that's what it's all about at the start of the season for me, is to win your league, and we ain't going to get anywhere near that. Anthony Martial is an interesting one, because Anthony Martial, in the live comments, you've actually told us two different stories. You think I don't read the live comments. You said a minute ago he's injured, and then you've just said he hasn't travelled. He's travelled. He hasn't travelled alone. Stop making rumours. Oh no, sorry, retract. I thought you said he'd travelled alone. See, live stream, you can make a. Anthony Martial's in the live comments basically saying Anthony Martial's injured. In the last couple of hours, a number of news outlets have said Anthony Martial's not part of the squad for tomorrow's game. There are rumours that he's injured. There are some people who think he's already down in London. There's rumours that he's been dropped. I mean, give us your thoughts on that, Flex. I mean, it's probably news to you yourself in the last hour or so. I mean, what do you think about the Martial situation? I mean, it's difficult not knowing why he's not involved, but it's... I think it does weaken us, because, you know, Sanchez has not been brilliant since we signed him, and I suppose we've got Lingard, haven't we? Rashford worries me a bit with his form at the moment.
Yeah, I'm going to say this about Martial, as simple as this, yeah? We have to keep him, and we have to find a way of getting him playing well. I say we, Jose Mourinho, because he picks the team, he has to play some training. He needs to find a way, in my opinion, of getting Martial going again, because he's a fantastic player. Our best, I would say, on his day. He's our most naturally attacking player. He's skillful. He's got a lot of flair. He's pacey. He can take people left, take people right. It worries me. Do you know what? It's kind of weird, because I was proper worried last season when Mourinho was calling him out. He was going through some personal problems, and it kind of had written all over it. Oh, young guy, come over from France, couldn't hack it in England, family life broke down, etc. Manager jumped on his back. And he had a poor season last year. And it was really refreshing to see him galvanise himself this year, answer Mourinho's questions, and answer them well. You know, dug us out of some holes this year as well. And then it's kind of, since Alexis has come, it's kind of upset that little like little kind of stint that he's had there, Martial. I think he's found it difficult. He's found it difficult being shafted out to the right. He's found it maybe difficult with Alexis coming in and taking his position. He has to find a way. He wasn't great against Chelsea, bar the assist he got, which was good. Pivotal part of the match that he put on for Lukaku. Kind of wasteful. He wasn't great. But it does worry me. Obviously, I don't know exactly why he's not in the squad. If indeed he's not, I don't know. So I don't want to comment too much on that. But if he is missing and it's not through injury or illness or whatever, it does worry me. We've got to find a way to get him playing in our starting 11. Whether that's Jose working on a new system or a new position change for him, whatever it is, we have to find a way to get him playing again, in my opinion.
Daniel Rowland says, why disturb Martial's growth? Put Sanchez on the right. He's a world-class player that could perform fantastically on the right. I do agree with that, and I think we all know that the signing of Sanchez has disrupted, well, it did Pogba a little bit, and it has Martial a lot. And I don't care what anybody says, Martial's stats, appearances, if you've actually watched him play up until Sanchez came, he was arguably our player of the year, and it's a shame what's happened. But I think I would lean towards the fact that let's wait until we know what's happened. He may well have an injury, and obviously with big games coming up against Liverpool and Sevilla, we don't want a long-term injury. But then again, I think Palace is a massive game tomorrow. It does raise the interesting question, which I'd put to the live comments, and I'm going to ask both Sophie and Flex this as well. Sanchez is obviously, I think, falls into that category now where he'll start nearly every game with Lukaku. We're obviously only ever going to play a front three. That leads us into this situation where the right-sided position's up for grabs: Mata, Lingard, Rashford, or Martial. That's 4 players for one spot. I think regardless, even if we don't sign an attacker in the summer, we're moving into this situation now where, I said it yesterday as well, you know, over the last 18 months, we had Martial and Rashford, who were arguably the 2 best young talents in the Premier League, and we were really excited. Rashford was playing regularly up front, Martial was playing on the left wing, and it was like, we've got 2 of the best players coming through. Now, they're bench players. Now, we've got Sanchez and Lukaku, who he seems to want to play every single game. A lot of people are getting a concern that it's going to come to a point where it's Rashford or Martial in the United's team, because he's always going to have front 3, and you can only play one of them. That's if they can get ahead of Lingard and Mata. Where if it did come down to a situation like that, Sophie, Martial or Rashford, which would you prefer? You know, and I'm not saying that they get kicked out, but you know, I think one of them is going to end up not playing as much as the other, because he's got to go with one. You can't just keep swapping. It's not good.
Tough question, a really tough question. I think it's hard to just say, oh, Rashford or Martial. It's got to be who's performing at the end of the day. I mean, both of them really need to be more consistent. There's no doubt about it. Martial, I know in flashes is world class. That's true. But I said it last week on the show. Sometimes he can look lazy. Sometimes he flicks in and out of games, which is why, for me, Mourinho hasn't been playing him. And I'm not saying that I don't like Martial, because I do. And obviously he scores goals. He's fantastic. But the fact that he flicks in and out, I think that's why Mourinho isn't quite playing him at the moment. I don't agree with how he's being treated, but at the same time, Rashford is a confidence player as well, and I think he was out of form. Everyone has dips in form, there's no doubt about that, and he just needs extra support and more game time realistically to get that confidence back. And I think it's hard for me to choose one or the other. For me, let them both fight it out, and that's the best way you can get the best performances out of them both. Make them fight for the place, and that's when you make your decision. You can't just say it based on their names. It's got to be by what they do on the pitch.
Not letting you sit on the fence. If you were told tomorrow morning as manager of Manchester United you've got to sell one of them, who do you get rid of?
That's tough.
I won't wait.
If you're going for world class ability, you've got to say you'll keep Martial, because I think he's got that world class potential. Yeah. But being English, that's a tough question.
It is tough, isn't it? Yeah. Because Rashford's the youth product, isn't he, as well? So I mean, I'm going to take the live comments, but I'm not going to give you that slant because I didn't give Sophie it, Flex. So you know, same question to you. You know, I think we're heading for that anyway. I think it's obvious we're going to play a front 3. Somebody just say about Giselle Cesar says, so Lukaku can play as indifferent as he likes and he'll get picked every week. Well, yeah, he will. He will keep picking him. Same with Sanchez, and I do think that it's not just Rashford or Martial, but that's what we're focusing on, because there's also Lingard and Mata. But he doesn't rotate that front line at all. He doesn't take Lukaku off for the last 20 minutes. He doesn't drop Lukaku for League Cup games. So there's very limited time for Rashford or Martial, even if they share the role, to play regularly. Who would you go? Would you go Martial or would you go Rashford?
Before I give you the definitive answer, what I would say is this: they're both very young players, right? And the way I see it is, Sanchez is 29, going on 30. He's got what, maybe 2 years to 3 years left at the absolute top. It's the opportunity to have the squad depth of good players, and for young players like Martial and Rashford to learn off. Hopefully, you want him to learn off people like Sanchez, because Sanchez has been inconsistent himself. But you know, there's time for those guys to grow into their roles. There's time for those guys to grow into first team regulars. I know we want them to be it now because we look at other teams and see them with young players in doing, you know, superbly well. But I don't think it's like panic stations and that. I think it's almost a good problem to have good caliber of players that you kind of got a selection headache. That's kind of what every manager wants. So I think with Mourinho, that's what he's trying to achieve there. I don't think it'll be in Mourinho's mind. Like if he heard us talking about this, I think he'll be saying, "No, I'm fine. I want that selection headache." But going to your question, because I don't want to dodge it. If I had to keep one, based on talent of what I've seen so far, of what I think can be progressed, I'm going to say Martial. But obviously, the English in me, the homegrown, you want to see your own do well at Man United, and it'll be a great, you know, we look at the story that Rashford has had since breaking into the first team in that first year, went on to win FA Cup, Europa League, you know, Community Shield. So he's had a very great start to his career. He's still young. This is his first real test of his career at the age of what, 20, 21 is he? So
Just 20,
I'm not worried. Yeah, he's only 20. We do forget that. Martial, 21 is he?
22,
you know,
just 22, yeah.
Yeah, in football, that's like almost like old age now. It's like we're getting, you know, unless they're teenagers, we don't really call them young players. Even with Lukaku, he's 24. Like he's got a lot to learn. So I'm comfortable with that whole situation, man. It's good to have youth like that at the club.
It's a good point on the youth as well, because I said it before, Anthony Martial's still younger than before Thierry Henry signed for Arsenal. Thierry Henry hadn't even signed for Arsenal at that age. So, you know, there's lots and lots of development there. But just going back to that, I mean, I'm sure Mourinho loves having Martial and Rashford to choose from, but the problem is it's not what Mourinho wants, it's what those players want, and it's whether they get itchy feet and are like, you know, I'm not playing enough, and I don't, you know, I want to play for United, but if I'm not playing week in, week out, it's like a lot of people that they're saying here. I mean, Andrew Kay says Martial's further ahead at the moment. Paul Robinson said this a few times. Why does Martial never run in behind? He's got the pace. I think it's the way we play. We don't play that sort of way for some reason. Paul Lucas says, here's the thing, if you're a winger, you have to cross. Martial doesn't do that a lot. Rashford can't do it. The Tesco says Martial needs more movement around him. Lingard helps him shine, but doesn't have the passing ability like Mata. Mata's problem is he's too slow. Yeah, we've got a number of players where if you fuse them together, I think you get everything, but they cost a lot of money to do that. And my starting lineup tomorrow, says Football. Don't want to take a question about that. And but the thing is, how I would solve it very quickly, because someone said you can't dodge it, Mark. Martial, I agree with Sophie and Flex. Martial definitely, but Rashford should be. It should be Rashford or Lukaku. That's the thing. That's the problem. Rashford's not a winger. He's not a winger. He can't cross. He's never been a bloody winger. He's just been put out there because he's not getting games times up front. And like Martial really probably will be a centre forward at some point, but he can play on the wing. It's like Mbappe. He'll be a forward, but he can play on the wing. Rashford really is just a number 9. And there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to be Mr. bloody flexible. Does Harry Kane get put at right back or on the right wing? No, he's a centre forward, and I think that's what Rashford is. But he doesn't get game time because Mourinho never subs or drops his forward. Last year, Zlatan always played. Lukaku always plays. So to find game time for Rashford, he plays him on the wing, but he's not a winger. So for me, it's Rashford or Lukaku. It's not Rashford or Martial.
So I don't know about that. Just on that quickly, can I just say, I'm not really sure that Martial is a number 9, if I'm honest. I don't know. When I've seen him play there, don't get me wrong, there's games where I don't think he's a number 9 under Mourinho. Let me change that. He's not a Mourinho striker, let's face it. Under another manager, you might find a way to get players in and around a Rashford up front as a 9. I just think with Mourinho, we know what type of striker he likes. Big, strong focal point of the attack. I just don't see it. And at times when Rashford has played up front a couple of times, and it hasn't quite worked. I don't know whether it's a mixture between he knows he's not going to get a regular run of games there. He knows under Mourinho it's not going to be a sustained thing. But because I do get it, because in the past, when he first broke onto the scene, yeah, he was a striker. That's where he played. But I think with his attributes, I think Mourinho kind of thinks, well, that I can utilise that pace, and has just kind of shafted it. But I just don't see him as a number 9 under Mourinho. I think that's what I'd say on that.
What about you, Sophie? I mean, where do you think Rashford's best position is? Do you think it's right that he's out on the wing, or do you think he's more of a forward? I mean, some people think he's the next Welbeck, which I think is ridiculous. But the reason, what I would say, just to say you get two sides of the coin and you can be the judge, is that I don't like Rashford on the wing, because I think I look at Marcus Rashford and you look at the mistakes he's made this season. That header against Chelsea, shutting his eyes. He had the one against Chelsea as well, running through, head down, just blasts it. He puts his head down too much, and if you're a winger, you've got to have your head up, because you've got to be looking for the right cross. I mean, he's got a good delivery, he does take free kicks, but he just hasn't got that in him. I think Rashford just needs to be focused on being a striker, and as Flex said, he's just turned 20. He burst on the scene as a forward. Getting him to learn, I mean, we all know, we've all played football, a winger's job is very different to a striker's job, and I just feel he's been... I wouldn't say he's regressing, I just think he's being treated a little bit unfairly, because he's one of those lads who lives, bleeds and breathes Manchester United. He'll do anything for the club. But actually, he probably needs to be... Maybe Flex is right, maybe he's not a number 9, because he needs that selfish streak that every striker needs. He almost needs to be saying, I don't want to play on the wing, I want to play up front, that's my position. But I don't see him as a winger. BTEC Pogba says he's more of a forward, but then some people have said, why is he not a winger? I just think his final ball's not good enough, and he doesn't get his head up, and he runs down alleys, and his ball control's not that good either. He's good at not... When he's on the wing, when Martial's on the wing, he's got a trick. He breaks ankles. When Rashford's on the wing, he does get past people, but he sort of knocks it past them and uses his pace, which is brilliant for a number 9. But, that's only my opinion.
I think that is the issue with Rashford. He needs to nail down one position. I think at the moment he's effective in all 3 positions going forwards, but it depends on, like Flex said earlier, in a Mourinho team, that's not the kind of player that we want up front. Personally, I think to be a striker, he's not clinical enough at the minute. He doesn't finish well enough. He'll finish probably 1 in 10 chances, and as a striker, you want better than that. So for me, I don't know, that is the issue with Rashford, isn't it? That's why he's not playing, because he needs to work and knuckle down one of those positions. I think he's got the attributes to play as a 9 or as a winger, but he needs to be more. I think he needs to be more consistent in his performances. He has definitely got to work on his final ball, certainly, but also he needs to be more clinical. And I think that's what he's got to go away and work at, really. Whether Mourinho needs to change the system to fit in, I'm not sure. I think he could play as part of a front 2 if he played 2 up top. Maybe with a bigger striker like Lukaku and then someone like Rashford, because he's effective in games where there's space in behind and he can run into the channels. He stretches teams. But yeah, I think in order to knuckle down and nail a position, he's got to work at that and be more consistent.
Paul Lucas says it's pretty common for a young player like Rashford to burst on the scene and then have a lapse in form the next season. I think you're right, Paul. I do feel a little bit sorry for him, because he burst on the scene as a centre forward, and then since Mourinho's been here, he's been put on the wing. And I just think it's a bit of a shame, really, for him, because I feel that he's a forward, and that's where everyone sat up and noticed Rashford, whether it was scoring goals on his debut for United or even England. And I think, you know what, I would say if he's going to be a winger, I'm not sure he'll make it at United. If he's going to be a centre forward, I think he will. But we'll see what happens. It might be all part of a bigger plan, which I suspect it probably is with Mourinho. And the next club I want to talk about, I know where the United stand, but I do want to bring Arsenal into the equation, simply because I think it just emphasises the job that Mourinho has done, taking over from Van Gaal, and the mess that Moyes made as well, that we are sat comfortably second. Well, not tonight, we're third, but hopefully he's back tomorrow. Most of the season we've been second. We've won 2 trophies. We're in the Champions League. We're in the FA Cup. The football's not great, I accept, but the progress and the achievements are definitely there, Flex. We know what it's like. We know what it's like to sort of hit hard times as a big club, but it just emphasises, I mean, I see all these Arsenal fans going absolutely mad. And I think, you know what? I think this is where Mourinho deserves a lot of credit, because I think United and Arsenal are run very, very similarly. We've got these. I think I'm right in saying that Arsenal do have foreign American owners, and they do like to take money out of the club, and they do pack the ground out, and there is a massive fan base, and you know, everything about Arsenal Football Club is great in the way the brand develops and everything like that. But what Arsenal have done, even under a very experienced and respected manager like Arsene Wenger, is they've regressed into this situation now where you know, Burnley are nearly catching them for 7th. You know, it's like they're going backwards and backwards and backwards. The Arsenal situation in a nutshell is that I look at Arsenal and I think, what one player would you take from them? Because we took the one in January. They're a club going backwards, but they're a big club. And I think it just, in my mind, it just emphasises just what a great job Mourinho's done, is because you can't just hide behind being a big club. You've got to have the right people at the club. And I know it's not where we want to be, but that Arsenal club, they're in a bloody mess. And that could have been us if the club had got the wrong manager after Van Gaal.
Do you know what it is, right? If you look at Arsenal, they're a fantastically well-run business, but they're a very badly run football club, and that's it with them. And you look at us, and the difference between our mentality as a club and their mentality as a club is that, all right, we might have been splashing money and we still haven't quite hit the heights that we wanted to hit, but we've tried to impact change. We haven't settled for substandard quality results on and off the field. You know, it went wrong under Moyes. What did we do as a big club? Right, this is not right. We need to change it. It went wrong under Van Gaal. What's gone on? Right, it's not what we want. It's not what we need. It's not what we aspire to. We change it. We impact change. That shows that as a club, even people can say what they want about the Glazers, and even this season, maybe not backing Mourinho to his full potential, etc., etc. You can say all that. Excuse me. But the key factor is, as a club, the people making the decisions have decided, no, we can't. You know, if we were an Arsenal, put it this way, we'd still have someone like Moyes. Do you know what I mean? Old Trafford sold out every week. Have a little cup run. Don't worry, we're making money. But we're Manchester United, and I think that's where the Arsenal fans are getting most frustrated, because they've called for the same change to happen and haven't seen it. With us, I think that we was about to enter into a dark time. With Sir Alex leaving, it was always going to be difficult for whoever took the reins, but it went majorly wrong. We had to change it. You know, that took guts. That took someone with kahunas to make that change, and we did. The same, it went sour under Van Gaal. We changed, and I think that's where we've got to think ourselves lucky. The fact that we can say what we want about the Glazers and them being, you know, people that want to take man out of the club, etc., etc. That's a whole other argument. But when the key decisions have had to be made in terms of getting rid of the manager and going in a different direction, we've done it. And that's not to say, you know, we don't want to turn into a club where we're sacking our manager every 2 seasons, 1 season, and be a Chelsea. We don't want to do that. That's not in our culture. That's not in our DNA as a club. But when we see substandard results, substandard performances, we don't like it. Even with Mourinho at second, look at the discontent amongst fans. People still want him out, and we're second. Do you know what I mean? So that just shows the level of the thought process behind it. So, you know, you've got to look at it like Arsenal in such a deep play. I was saying to someone today, it's not, I don't know, well, people probably disagree with it. It's not even pleasurable to laugh at them anymore.
No, like, a lot of people have said that, you're right.
You know what I mean? You want your rivals to kind of be there or thereabouts, so when you play each other, it really means something. And when we play them in April, they're just going to be like an average mid-table team coming to Old Trafford. Like, I've got to go and do the previews with them guys, and I'm going to be like, I really feel sorry for you guys. But,
I mean, I just want to jump in there because I want to give Sophie a point as well. But you were at the Arsenal Fan TV thing DJing the other night. You know, we have a good relationship with Arsenal Fan TV. You know, I do respect what they do. They are fans of the club, and you know, they built it from nothing. It's great. But I do feel sorry. I suppose being United stand, you look at Arsenal Fan TV and you replicate. Well, you replicate the feelings and think, how would I feel like that? I feel sorry for them because I almost feel that they are falling into that deluded big club. And I'm going to ask Sophie you this in a minute. But I feel sorry for them because they are right to come out after every game and rant. But we all used to do Arsenal Fan TV and chill because, yeah, they're a big club. Look at them. but it's becoming so consistent now that they are fans of the club, a bit like us under Moyes, where they are fans of their club and they feel injustice, but we now feel sorry for them. We used to laugh at them because they were a big club losing. We're now like, you're just crap. You know, it's not even a shock that you've lost to Brighton. You are. That is your level. You know, you're not a good team.
Exactly. That is it. That is it, man. I'm just like.
I think with Arsenal as well. Like, yeah, they were rivals, but they always had an identity of playing great football, playing fast attacking football. And I mean, I watched the game today. And they're just so. I mean, I thought we played slow football, but the amount of times I saw like Wilshere walking with the ball, like practically walking with a seeking a goal back, and I was just thinking, I do feel sorry for the fans who've travelled there, and yeah, it used to be entertaining watching that, but to see a club slip so much, a club that had true identity, play fantastic football, is just a shame for me. And as a neutral, really, it's just a shame to see that they don't have that football anymore.
Definitely. David C says, let's see if fans would rather see classy Martial than golf legs McTominay, who is the younger Fellaini. He made a contribution, so I've got to read that out. But I would rather have Martial than McTominay. Obviously, I think anybody would, because I think Martial can win the Ballon d'Or, and I'd like McTominay to win the Ballon d'Or, but I don't think that he can. A little bit of news on McTominay. Actually, he's chosen Scotland over playing for England. I'm tempted to say that he's chosen the smaller club, but you know, it's not that England are that great. And no, just going back to that as well. I mean, I was going to ask you, Sophie, this anyway. This is the look. I've seen a lot of the live comments, and people are saying, "Oh, stop trying to get us to like Mourinho." I understand that. You make your own mind up. As Flex said, some people want him out. As we all say, the football's not that great. We all accept that. But you know, I do back Mourinho. I want him to do well. That's not really my point. What I'm trying to say is that also, as Flex touched on as well, Sophie, it's not, you know, the board get a lot of stick. And yes, they could do more. They could spend more. We make a lot more money than they actually spend. They take a lot out. But we could also have fallen like Arsenal have, where, you know, that is just bad ownership. They've allowed that to happen, and now you've got a club that's got no real assets. I mean, they haven't. Aubameyang's their biggest asset, really, and will he make it in the Premier League? Mkhitaryan, I know they thought he was a great signing, but we all sort of sadly went, nice bloke, see you later, go on, quick, go. You know, because we sort of knew he wasn't good enough. And apart from that, I look at that Arsenal team, and I don't think they're very good. And, you know, you play football yourself. The one thing that sort of stood out to me today is I felt sorry for Wenger. I know he's past it, but the last thing I ever like, whether it's Chelsea, Liverpool or anybody, I would say this, even though I don't like those clubs, is players who've clearly down tools and are doing it to get rid of the manager. And I think that's what's happening at Arsenal now, because that's a disgrace. No matter whether the manager should go or not, players, multi-millionaire players, should never be downing tools for one, the badge, and two, for the fans.
I agree completely, and I think this has been said now for a few seasons at Arsenal. Realistically, what characters? I mean, we struggle to find characters in our team, but if you're looking at that Arsenal team there, realistically, what characters, what players with heart have you got? You'd probably say Jack Wilshere and Koscielny are probably the two players there who have got heart. Other than that, that's a team of players who are not playing for the badge. You could say they're mercenaries. They're not really that bothered. I mean, at the end of today, did any of their players look that disheartened by the fact that they'd lost? No, they didn't, to be honest. And for me, I think that's the biggest question about Arsenal is what characters and what players are actually going to fight for that Arsenal badge at the moment. And I really struggle to find any, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is shocking, and I do, you know, I'll throw that back to you, Flex, as well, because, you know, people will be saying, why are you talking about Arsenal? But I think, you know, we have a responsibility as a fan base to just be, you know, appreciative of our situation and see how just being a big club doesn't mean anything. You know, Arsenal were invincibles, Premier League winners, Champions League finalists in 2006. That's pretty big. That's a pretty big club at that time. Now, the last 10 years it's gone south, but they are going south. They've got no assets. They've got ownership that don't like to spend money. They've got a manager who is 10 years past it. But they think, oh, we're just going to get a new manager. Let's get Tuchel. Let's get the Monaco manager. Let's get this, that. He's going to come in. We're going to spend a billion and we're going to be challenging Man City and Man United. I tell you what, I think that is a club that, no matter what it does, is in for a hell of a lot of trouble. I don't see much youth coming through. They're going to have to spend a lot of money in the modern market. I would not want to be in Arsenal's situation for any money. But it does just show, just being a big club doesn't mean anything. And I think regardless of whether Mourinho's here next year or 2 years, the fact that he's won trophies, he's definitely provided stability, he's given us some progress. If fans don't think we could have been Arsenal if we'd made the wrong choice after Van Gaal, I think that this Arsenal situation just really brings that home. That we were 6th last year. What if we'd gone backwards, not forwards?
Exactly, it's that whole thing of be careful what you wish for, innit? Being a big club, it doesn't give you a divine right to be up there. You have to be well run. You have to have a good recruitment policy. You have to have a good manager. Your name just isn't enough. Arcs Leeds, Arcs Aston Villa, Arcs flipping clubs like Newcastle. You know, Newcastle's a big club. They haven't won anything in however many years, but to pack out their stadium and got a big stadium and a big fan base in Newcastle, but they're called a so-called big club, and that's the thing. A big club doesn't give you the automatic right to be successful. That's the key. You have to make changes at the right time. You have to oversee things, and you have to keep an ethos within the club to stay a big club, or to stay what the true meaning of a big club is, which is what we've managed to do. Don't get me wrong, we're not in terms of commercially and stuff like that, and as a brand and as an entity, Man United is still as big as it ever was. I mean, when we had Van Gaal and we weren't even in the Champions League, people were saying, how are we going to attract the biggest players? That year we got Falcao and Di Maria, two of the biggest players in the world at the time. And that was without Champions League football. So there are certain clubs who are in an elite bracket of that, and Arsenal are not. So if the football goes south and the results go south, they don't have the kind of commercial revenue and the commercial pool that we have to sustain them and get themselves out of it. They need to make big key decisions, and for them, I know a lot of Arsenal fans. Obviously, yeah, you're right. I was down there for their 5th anniversary, showcasing some different talents, DJing. But just speaking to some of their fans or hearing them speak. No, no ABBA was allowed that night. You love ABBA. They are hurting, man. They are hurting. I know people go on there and laugh, and it's nice to watch it and nice to see the old rants and that. But those guys are really hurting, and I wouldn't wish to go. I look at Robbie having to go and do fan cams after every game with some angry fans. When we lose, I'm like, oh, these fans are not going to be happy. I've got to go outside the away end now, and it's going to be tough. Everyone's going to be angry. But imagine doing it week in, week out. I'll put myself in issues, trying to do that week in, week out with that level of disgruntlement amongst the fans, amongst the manager, amongst the board, amongst the players. It's just a mess. And like you said, you've got to be careful what you wish for. And yes, we've got problems at our own club, but never in 1,000 million years would we get to their stage, because we wouldn't let it. We wouldn't let it happen.
I've lost me bloody audio. Sorry, I can't even remember what I was on about.
You're about Arsenal playing AC Milan.
Yeah, I was saying about Arsenal, and they are in the Europa League, and they will be there next year, and so will Chelsea. So it is interesting. Anyway, chuck us some questions, because we've covered all the topics, but last 15 minutes we like to take some of your questions. Sorry that you didn't hear my Kevin Ashford question, which was basically that Arsenal were laughing at us last year about being in 6th. In fact, I saw DT's little gif going around today. I think the Draughty Devil did it again, where he went 6th, and laughed at us. Football's got a very funny way of coming around and biting you in the arse, but you know that's part of the banter, isn't it? So, chuck us a few questions, because we have covered everything. Obviously, we will be live tomorrow night with the watch-along, and Flex is going to be there doing the fan cams. Got to win tomorrow. Big game. Please do drop a like on the video as well. And we're very close to 200,000 subscribers now. So if you've not subscribed and you are new, please click the subscribe button in the bottom right corner, because hopefully we'll hit it tomorrow, which is just amazing to do that. And And would you sell Smalling to Arsenal?
Giveaways, actually. Got some giveaways when we reach 200k. I've got a signed One Matter shirt as well. So once we hit 200k, I'll work out the best way to give some winners on that. So keep posted on that.
Brilliant. Okay. Thought I was having that. Live TV. No, I'm only joking. The Chris Smalling to Arsenal. Would you sell Chris Smalling to Arsenal? It's a good question that was from Anil. What would you think, Sophie? Would you do that? Help him out?
Look, Smalling is talented. I do like him, but I just think we can do better. To be honest, I think him and Jones have got too many mistakes in them. Not consistent enough. So as long as we were getting someone in instead, then yeah, I would.
Okay, I'm going to do a question each rather than each opinion. Callum Sanders says, how much would you spend on Milankovic-Savic? I did the watch along last night on That's Football for him. As much as I'm not bothered about how much United spend. It is my money, it is your money, but there's loads of it, and the club should just bloody spend it on what's important. So if it's 200 million, let Liverpool fans get bitter. I don't care. Just if it's the right player, and I think he is the right player, spend the money. I'm trying to find a good question for you here, Flex. Who do you think? I like this one. Who do you think will win the Champions League? That's from Robin Hammerton. I mean, it's a hell of a Champions League this year. It's hard to predict. Isn't it?
I'm going to say Barcelona. I'm not going to say City because I don't like them. I don't want them to win it. But I could. But yeah, I think Barcelona. But then again, do you know what? Everyone's sleeping on Real Madrid. Can I just say, because one of the worst Real Madrids to face is a Real Madrid that has only the Champions League to focus on. They're so far off the pace in the La Liga title. They're obviously gone out of that and have a dismal season. And to be fair, Zidane's kind of trying to save his job by winning that 3 back-to-back Champions Leagues. Would probably excuse him from having such a poor league run. So don't sleep on Real Madrid, actually, but I would say Barcelona.
I would just add to that and say Real Madrid are better than Barcelona at the moment. And I mean, I watch a lot of La Liga and Serie A, and watched Barcelona today. Barcelona parked the bus effectively second half against Atletico Madrid to win 1-0.
600.
Yeah, it was a lovely goal by Messi. I mean, but I hate to say it, I think Man City have got... I mean, I'll ask you that question, Sophie, because it's very difficult. I mean, none of us are mentioning Manchester United for some reason. I wonder why. But who do you think is the favourites? Who would you go with is going to win it? I would go Real Madrid. Flex would go Barcelona.
I was just about to say United. No, I'm going to go with Real Madrid. Real Madrid would be the one I would. So they always seem to pull it out of the bag in the Champions League. So, yeah, no matter their league form, I'm going to say Real Madrid in the Champions League.
They've got such a good midfield three. They just had a terrible start to the season, but as Flex says, they've got that advantage of knowing they don't really have to focus on the league at the moment. I like this question from Jay Baz. I know it's probably not United related again, but he says, who would get your Premier League Player of the Year? I really do like that question, Ashley, and I think we'll all answer that. So, Sophie, who would you go with and why?
I think you've got to say Salah at Liverpool. It's been unbelievable. For me, De Bruyne would be up there, but I think Salah has just been such a shock to everybody, and it's just fantastic. So I'm going to go with Salah.
Flex?
Sort of Harry Kane and Salah for me. My reasons for Harry Kane is the fact that it's just consistency, man. Like, Salah came to England first off and wasn't great. Yes, I know it was under Mourinho, didn't really give him a chance, etc. But he didn't light up. Went away, come back, fantastic. He's absolutely unreal. But what Harry Kane's doing, how consistent he's hitting them numbers, potentially going to get the golden boot for what, a 3rd season in a row? To me, that's phenomenal. But it is close between him and Salah. I'll give it Kane.
Eric Ross says Salah, De Bruyne or Kane. Liam Miles, Harry Kane. Kevin De Bruyne for Paul Lucas. Salah for Pedro Romero. I think it's refreshing, though, that we're a Manchester United fan channel, and through all the bitterness that Liverpool fans have, we're actually saying that one of their players is really good. It's close for me. I think it's between Salah and Phil Jones, and I'm going to give it Salah because... no, I would give it to Salah because De Bruyne has been very good, but that Man City team is just built on an open checkbook. I don't care what anybody says. Salah's do it. You take Salah out of Liverpool, and I think they'd be where Arsenal is. And he's a new signing. I think he's just...
That's what gives as well. They get 35 million.
Yeah. I think because De Bruyne and Kane have had a year in the Premier League or two, I think he's been fantastic. But Ashley Young's going to put him in his pocket next week, so we don't need to worry about him.
Oh, mate. He's going to be a handful. That's what I was going to say. Going on to that game, I know we got Palace tomorrow, so we obviously got to take care of business there. But that Liverpool game, mate, I know they're frail at the back, but we have got to really be on our game defensively, because on the counter attack they can tear you apart. So we've got to be on our game there, and that little Egyptian Messi man, we've got to find a way to stop him, and Firmino and Mane. That's going to be a massive game, massive. But we'll leave that for when the build-up comes for that anyway. But I just wanted to say that.
It is. It's a massive week of football, not just for United. There's some really, really good games to come. Anurag has flipped it. I was going to ask it myself, but it's there. Sophie, United's Player of the Year so far. Who would you give it? We're saying Salah now, aren't we? We can't say for the year because something could happen. De Bruyne could score a hat-trick every week. So who would you go with United Player of the Year so far? Probably harder than the other one, really.
It is, yes. That's worrying, isn't it? De Gea's up there, obviously. I think he's always up there. But I actually think Valencia's been fantastic at right back as well. I just think he's been consistent. He's been awesome at right back. So I'm going to say Valencia for me. I think he's been great.
I think the funny thing with both those two is that in the Chelsea game, they were both pretty poor. But I do agree, Valencia's been very consistent, hasn't
he? Yeah.
Can I throw a spanner in the works there? I'm going to get a lot of hate for this probably, but I'm actually going to say Lukaku, because I think he's had to deal with people consistently on his back. In some games, rightly so. People saying he's not good enough. People saying that, why have we bought him? He's useless. He's a donkey. He's pony. I've heard it all said about him. Still got 22 goals, 21 goals, whatever it is, in counting. Still believes in himself. Hasn't hidden. Yes, there are many flaws in his game, but I think there's a lot of pluses as well. Everyone saying, Flex, well, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh my God! But I'm just going to throw it out there. That takes a lot of mental strength to come through that. And like you said, it's 21 goals. Like I said, it's 21 goals in counting. So I just wanted to throw that one out there.
I think if you're going by distance as well, Matic should be up there as well. I think Matic has been really good. Obviously, he wasn't a signing that we all opted for.
Yeah.
I could say he was the boring signing. He doesn't set the world alight, but he has been really effective and really consistent. And I know against Chelsea he played really well as well. So I think Matic could be up there.
A lot of people in the comments are saying De Gea. Mubarak says De Gea. Shiva says De Gea. Rogue Punisher says Fellaini. He's on the pop again. Matic says David. Red's Corner says Matic as well. De Gea. Valencia's had a few. And never Matic says Andre. De Gea, let's be honest, is Carl Wilson. I mean, De Gea getting it again isn't helpful for Mourinho. And I need to ask you both this question that Rabuik asked as well. But I'm quite surprised. Well, mine's Martial. And I say it with a straight face. There's somebody. Media Live has said Martial as well. The last... and somebody else has said it. No, it's Media Live again. He's just typing it out. But I'd say Martial simply because... Oh, Martin said it as well. Because I think since Sanchez has signed, he's been rubbish. And I admit that. But before then, started the season on the bench, came on, scoring goals, assists. Then he's been very, very consistent. I would give it Martial. And if I wasn't going to give it Martial, I think... Pogba nearly. Pogba was brilliant apart from that injury. And then again, he's gone bad the last 3 or 4 games. So I think that's clouding the issue with those two players. But apart from that, Pogba was bloody brilliant at the start of the season and when he came back in November. But obviously had a bit of an injury. But if it is De Gea again, I think it poses that question. Why is our goalkeeper man of the match? Which comes to the next question on what somebody asked me to ask you. Covered it on the show last night. Klopp basically said it wasn't directly at Manchester United, but a week before it is.
He's definitely talking about us. Definitely.
Yeah, so Klopp said that if he parked the bus at Anfield, him and his team would be booed out. There is a responsibility to play attacking, exciting football, and that is what he has to do as Liverpool manager. Which I said week before Manchester United game. How coincidental is that? But what are your thoughts on that, Sophie? Because a lot of people said he's just trying to play mind games, but actually, as United fans, should we not be thinking the same? Why are we accepting that style of football if Liverpool apparently wouldn't? I personally think Liverpool fans, if they were offered Europa League and League Cup last year playing, defensive football, they'd still take it. They take any cup. They take my bloody teacup.
I feel like you say it's mind games, isn't it? He said that on purpose. He wants United fans to have that reaction and think, hang on, why are we accepting this style of football when we shouldn't? But if it means we don't lose to Liverpool, then, we'll take it. It's just like Klopp, for example, playing this attacking football, then he gets a draw. He's celebrating draws against West Brom. You can't tell me that Liverpool fans are happy with that as well. I'm pretty sure they would rather than see that result out and get a win. So for me, it's just mind games, just trying to get under Mourinho's skin, and Mourinho no doubt will say something in return as well.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is we've seen United go to Anfield twice under Klopp and he hasn't scored. With his brilliant attack, he's not been able to break us down, and that's sort of what I said last night, Flex. He wants Mourinho to react to that and go, right, I'll tell him how you do attacking football, open up, and then they'll do us. Because he knows if we play the normal way, he ain't got a plan B, he can't break us down, can he?
Exactly. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was absolutely fuming. When you're right outside the game as well, after you've just watched it, you're fuming. You go to Liverpool, did the same last year, park the bus, no intent to try and score. However, this is in inverted commas, along with Man City, the highest scoring team in the league, can carve anyone open, can break anyone down, but they couldn't do it to us. That probably frustrates Klopp a lot, in my opinion. I think he's clouding the Liverpool fans a bit with the attacking flair that they've got, because he's not doing anything different to when Brendan Rodgers was there. Brendan Rodgers probably did a bit better and he won the league. They had, they had Suarez there, but they had a young Raheem Sterling breaking into the team at that time. They had a fit Daniel Sturridge. He made Daniel Sturridge go backwards and still had to leave. Didn't even use him. And at that point, Brendan Rodgers had him playing. Probably he was the best English striker in the league. So I think they're a little bit clouded. He always manages to dodge a lot of criticism, Klopp, especially in the middle part of the season where their defence was so woeful, where they were still scoring a lot of goals but conceding a lot, so they were either drawing or losing in the last minute or whatever. So he's just trying to get in Jose's head. Jose won't change his tactics. Jose will try to frustrate Liverpool, might even play on the counter against them, try and nullify their threats. But yeah, okay, I don't want to go into a whole pre-match thing about that Liverpool game, but since you bring up the Klopp thing, he is trying to have a dig. Some of what he's saying, I forget that it's him saying it. That just goes back to the question of how long will Mourinho be able to play this brand of football and get away with it. Do you know what I mean? A lot of United faithful have had enough of his brand of football already, even though we're second. So unless we win leagues with this type of football, you've got to argue, how long is he going to get with some fans? How long is he going to get?
But yeah, I can't wait for it, and I really hope we beat him. But I think every game's a bit like that now. Right, well, we've done the hour, so we'll wrap up there. What I want to say is I'm going to obviously go to my guests first, but got a big thing need you all to help out with if you're a Manchester United fan in a minute or so. So just please hang on. But thanks for coming on the show, Sophie. Really pleasure to have you on a Sunday night here with us.
No problem. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, I want to push 200 subscribers for United Stand, obviously. But I can't offer a signed Matter shirt, but I can sign one of my shirts if you want and give that away.
Oh, thank you very much. There you go. Sophie does play professional football and she'll sign a shirt for you.
Thank you, Kevin.
No worries. Thanks for coming on as ever. And Flex, thanks for coming on, pal. You'll be at the match doing the fans tomorrow. Jared's going to be there. Jared, the moderator, is going to be there tomorrow. So keep an eye out for him because he's over from America, apparently. He's just been over to... I must say this as well. He was over at Italy to watch the Milan derby, which I think has been cancelled. But I know for a fact, obviously, we know why it's been cancelled. Tragic news this morning that David Astori, the Fiorentina captain, died in his sleep at 31 last night. I mean, football community comes together, but life comes together when something like that happens. Absolutely horrible. But thoughts go out to the club and the family and friends of the player. But Jared was over there to watch that game, and I think it did get cancelled. But he is there tomorrow night, so hopefully we'll get him on a fan cam. Yeah, tell him to come find me. Yeah, good to be on. Can't remember the last time I was on because we've had a few Sunday games as well and just a lot of stuff going on. But yeah, it's all good. Crystal Palace tomorrow night. Got to take care of business there. Could be a tough game if we don't turn up, but I expect to win. I think we'll be all right. So look out for the fan cams with that.
hopefully that kind of just cements at least a minimum. We're in the top 4, and we can just build from there.
Yeah, it'll be a late night tomorrow night, sorry, but fan cams will be going up. What did I want to say? Yeah, okay, please do drop a like on the video before you go, but more importantly, you'll find the link in the video description. We were contacted by somebody about this morning, and they said, could we put the link up? And I think it's such a great thing that I wasn't aware of, that I've signed, that I would ask anybody to sign. And basically, link in the video description, it's the Harry Gregg knighthood petition. So Harry Gregg was the goalkeeper from the Munich tragedy, who went back into the plane crash and was pulling players out and bodies out. I mean, you know, we may as well be blunt, that's what he was doing. He went back in like others did, saved life and limb, was part of the club afterwards, and there's a petition to get him a knighthood, and I think it's absolutely spot on. So please do click the link in the video description, take a minute out to go and sign it. I think it's got about 4,000 signatures at the moment. I'm sure we can get at least 1,000 or a couple. Please do go and give it a sign. Really important. It's what our club's all about, and would really appreciate it if you did that for us. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll be back tomorrow with a match tomorrow at I think we'll be live at about 7 o'clock with the team news, so join us for that. Thanks to Sophie and Flex, thanks to live comments as per usual, you make of the show, and some really good questions there. I enjoyed that, as we all did, and we'll speak to you tomorrow. Thanks very much. Thanks guys, flew by, guys and girls, sorry. Thanks guys and girls. Flew by as per usual.
Yeah, no, good show, good stuff.